Namaste, everyone. Christian Long, Life Enhancement Consulting, giving you a big and beautiful shout out in this Transformation Q&A Thursday, where we give you hopefully give you deeper answers that you can't even find on Google. And let's invoke before we begin. Place your hands on your heart. Be aware of the beautiful, loving energy within the heart. Feel the sweetness, the tenderness, the joy within the heart. Smile. Be aware of the crown. Feel the crown expanding. Be aware of the divine bliss, divine peace, divine ecstasy in the crown. Be aware of the heart and the crown together. Mentally follow me to the Supreme God, Divine Father, Divine Mother. Respected and beloved teacher, Grandmaster Choa Kok Sui, to his teacher, Lord Bodhisattva Meiling, to Lord Buddha Kuan Yin, to Saraswati, the goddess of wisdom and intelligence, to Holy Master Count Saint Germain, the teacher of the violet flame, to all the holy gurus, holy masters, saints, archangels, holy angels, healing ministers, to our divine selves or higher souls, we humbly invoke for your divine light, love, and power. We ask for clarity and understanding. We ask that any and all ignorance and inappropriate veils be dissolved so we may see things clearly, accurately, honestly, for ourselves and others. We thank you, Lord God. We thank you all. With tremendous gratitude, respect, and love, we thank you in full faith. So be it, so be it, and so it is. Thank you. All right, welcome again, everyone. That was intense. As Grandmaster Choa Kok Sui would say, enlightenment is noticing what is obvious or observing what is obvious. And so we come together these Thursdays to have understanding, right? It's Jnana Yoga, the yoga of understanding. And we're basically developing our throat, our ajna, and our forehead through this practice. So the throat chakra deals with absorbing knowledge. The ajna deals with understanding the knowledge that you've acquired. And then the forehead gives you wisdom, because with wisdom, you know all other things, which we'll talk a little bit about in relationship to today's questions. So let us get right into it. Happy April Fools, everyone. Surprise, we're not doing it today. And I just hang up. He really took that to the next level. All right, I do have to tell you a funny story, though, in celebration of April Fool's Day. So this is about 20 years ago, and don't worry, we'll tie it into spirituality. You ready? Watch. I'm going to connect the dots right in the beginning. The person who told me this story, his wife was my Reiki master. So there we go. We just connected the dots, okay? Who also happened to be good friends with my oldest brother. That's how I met. I said, hey, I want to learn about energy or something, spirit, I don't know, something that doesn't deal with the physical world. And my brother says, well, a friend of mine is a Reiki practitioner, a Reiki master. And I was like, what's Reiki? And then, ta-da, 21 years later, here we are. So he was telling me a story, an April Fool's bit, that he was at work and his friend came up to him and he goes, okay, we're going to pull a prank. And they were in a warehouse, right? We're going to pull a prank on the boss. Are you in with me? And he's like, yeah, I'm in with you. What's the prank? And he goes, okay, I'm going to pretend I hurt myself on the machine. And I got like ketchup and the whole deal. So I'm going to pretend I hurt myself, and then I'm going to run into his office And I'm going to tell him, I cut myself. There's so much pain. There's blood everywhere. I think I'm going to pass out, whatever. So it goes into this elaborate thing. And so he's planning it. This is the day before, I believe, if I remember correctly. It's the day before he's planning it. And he goes, I'm all in, man. I love a good prank. And he did. He was very, very prankster guy. This guy's, funny enough, Alex Gray, and the guy I'm talking about, his name was Alex. Coincidence? And so he did this elaborate thing. They end up going through the prank. So the guy pretends to really severely cut himself, hurt himself. He runs into the boss's office, and he's got, quote unquote, blood everywhere. And it's this big ordeal. And then the boss stands up out of exasperation, and he clutches his chest, and he goes, "Oh," and he just falls down right on his desk, out cold. And then the guy is like pale white, doesn't know what to do. His boss just dropped dead in front of him from a prank that he pulled and planned the night before with my friend Alex. And he doesn't know what to do. So 5 minutes goes by. He's panicking. He's sweating profusely. He's like, do I call 911? You're not thinking clearly. So he stumbles over the phone. He's about to call 911. And then the boss gets off his desk and goes, April Fools! Because the night before, him and Alex were planning the attack. Alex talked to the boss and told him what they were going to be up to. Double crossed. Anyways, so that's my April Fool's story. I have many, but we'll leave it at that for now. Okay, first question. Some healings are done live. Some healings are done ahead of time, and you listen to a recording. How does that work? Very, very good question, right? So you say to yourself, okay, I can stretch my imagination and say, all right. If I go sit physically and get healing, I'll have an effect. And maybe if I'm at my home and they're at their home and do healing on me, I can see that having effect. But what about this whole time and space thing? It's like they're doing a healing on Thursday and I'm watching a healing the following Thursday. How can I possibly benefit from that? Right? Well, very good question. Number one, through the principle of oneness and the principle of oneness and the law of karma, we are all connected. How are we all connected? Through the grid of the planet. So the reason you guys can be sitting at your home and I can do healing and you all benefit from it is because of the principle of oneness, the law of karma, and we are connected to the energy body of Mother Earth. Without the law of karma, the principle of oneness would not work. Meaning, if there is no connectivity, I can do anything to you and it'll never come back to me. Think about that. I can rob from you. I can cause you physical injury, sexual injury, emotional injury, and it'll never come back to me if there is no such thing as law of karma and the principle of oneness. But because we're all one, what I do to you, I do to myself. Another way of looking at it is if we're in a pool together and I pee in the pool in my spot, is it eventually going to make it over to your end of the pool? Yes or no? Eventually. Maybe not immediately. Maybe it's a really big pool, right? So there are certain factors that determine how quickly that comes back to us. So if you're doing a recording or listening to a recording of Master Choa, and many of you have, listened to a recording of Master Choa doing the Twin Hearts meditation where he does healing in the meditation, do you notice a difference? Do you notice a positive effect? Do you feel lighter? Do you feel more peaceful? Of course. But the recordings were done 10, 15, 20 years ago. How is that possible? Because your consciousness is merging with the consciousness of that energy at that time, right? So if you and I start talking about Nazi Germany, what do you start merging your consciousness with? But Christian, that happened 75, 80, 90 years ago. How is that possible? Because you're merging your consciousness with that energy. That's why you have to be careful of what you meditate on. Okay? The future is more dynamic, so it's more difficult. The future is more dynamic and it's more difficult than connecting to the past. But again, on the higher levels of truth, there is no time and space. So when Master Choa says, may you be blessed, in a recording, you are merging your energy with the teacher at that time, which is no longer relevant. So he's saying, may you be blessed. And you're experiencing being blessed. It's an excellent question. Also, connecting it to, we did an experiment with Master Ko many years ago in one of the teacher trainings. And he says, do you think a person gets better healing distantly or better healing face to face? In general, a person gets better healing distantly because the healer has a tendency, this isn't always the case, but the healer has a tendency to be more focused on the person at a distance. And there was ways that we were experimenting with that in class. So the intention, because it's based on intention of the healer. So if the intention is a very clear, and if the healer has a clear intention of what they're doing when they're healing somebody, the effect is very powerful. But there's a tendency that if somebody is sitting in front of us when we do healing, we kind of are not so present to what we're doing, right? So the intention is very, very important. Also, some people are more receptive in person than distant. Right. I've had people that have come to me physically and gotten healing, and people that have come to me, those same people have gotten healing distantly, and they prefer to come to see me physically. And then most people that I've healed face to face prefer distant. They don't have to drive, they don't have to be stuck in traffic, and they notice the results are the same or better than when they got healings face to face. So it's not necessary. It is a limiting belief that you have to be physically in front of the other person, healing them for them to get the optimal benefit. Not true. Not true. I have gotten some of the most profound healings of my incarnation distantly. And I guess you could say it makes you a true believer, as it were, that if you have severe physical pain in a certain part of your body and you tell somebody, can you do healing? And they're doing healing in real time, and you can literally feel it coming out of your system. That's in real time. What about when you say, hey, can you do healing? And they go, yeah, I'll heal you later on today, or I'll heal you tomorrow. And you completely forget about it. And then a day or 2 days goes by and you realize, wait a minute, that pain that I had, that stress, anxiety, that phobia, that whatever I had is gone. Weird. Also with energy, and this is a higher level, I'm not going to get too much into it, but I'm, as a Gemini, planting a seed because that's my ninja power, right? Expressing ideas. You can program energy to be released at certain times. So you can do healing on somebody and then say, this requires intention, clear intention, and strong will. You could say, I want this person to be healed at this time. So you do the protocol and program all the energy to go to that person at a specific time. So for instance, one of my clients just had a baby. Yay, tiny baby, second baby, right? But when did I do the healing or when did we do the healing? For the maternity room, for the mom, for the baby, for the family. When did we do the healing? The day before. And then the energy was programmed the time that the labor starts and the labor ends. So the energy is being used. Right? Does that make sense, or am I losing you guys? Okay. So energy is extremely malleable. So what is the factor that determines how energy works in the ways that we're talking about? It's based on will, not emotional will, because usually in our culture, the Western world, we have a negative connotation towards will because it's seen as aggressive. That's emotional will, right? Emotional will, which is what people have a tendency to be adverse towards. So if you're too emotionally willful when you do healing, people's energy bodies close off. If you're too mentally willful, it's penetrating and sharp, and it's a little bit too much. So you have to be like a surgeon in keeping a steady focus in the energy that you're guiding through a person's energy body. And as my mentor said to me many, many years ago, a good healer isn't felt by the patient because the energy is very, very subtle, very refined, very penetrating and permeating, and the person doesn't even realize it's happening. That's a good healer. But if you're super aggressive, the person's going to feel it. If your energy body is very dense and you project energy, the person's going to feel it. I know people, I know their energy bodies, I know their lifestyles, I know them as people, and the people that they have healed, their conditions have gotten worse because they heal from a not so good state. So if I'm frustrated and irritated and I spent 2 days ago partying till 2:00 in the morning, that is going to influence my energy body. So the energy that's passing through me, through the teachers, right, is going to be coded with the energy so energy is passing through me. And it's going to be coded with that energy, that quality, and then going into the person. So if you're angry healing somebody, the tendency is your patient or client is going to start becoming angry after the healing session. So the cleaner, brighter, more refined your energy body is, the faster somebody will heal and the less difficulties they'll have in healing. That's why it's recommended in pranic healing. Vegetarians can work on meat eaters and vegetarians, but it's recommended that meat eaters work on other meat eaters. Smokers work on other smokers, right? And it's also recommended that smokers don't project energy because it's smoking entities and elementals because it's in their aura. Until they deeply, deeply, deeply cleanse and purify themselves, it's recommended that they don't do any kind of projecting. They can still do cleaning and sweeping, but no projecting. And one of the masters says that the energy of smoking stays in the cells for decades. Even if you stop smoking, it stays in the cells for decades. There's somebody that I knew, and of course, this is my story as an empath, as an energy healer, as somebody who is sensitive, right? But there was someone that I was very intimate with, and we were kissing. This isn't like a stranger, somebody that I was very close with. And I was kissing, and I could smell smoke, like very intensely. Like I don't know if you guys have ever kissed somebody right after they had a cigarette, but it's that kind of energy. And I was like, this doesn't make any sense. I know this person very well. I know this person doesn't smoke. Come to find out, this person smoked 18 years ago. They stopped smoking 18 years ago and they didn't even smoke heavily. What is my point? It's still in the cells. It's still in the energy body. So as I'm inhaling the person, right? Because you're exchanging energy when you're intimate with someone. As I'm inhaling them, I'm sensing the smoke. It was nauseating, right? Interesting. So to go back to the original question, the reason it works is because we're all connected, we're all one, and on the higher levels of truth, time and space doesn't matter. You turn on the CD, you turn on the meditation, you turn on the healing session, you put your consciousness into that moment in time, and you receive the benefits of the energy. Okay, very good question. Next question. Energetic practices for cleaning environments. Boy, oh boy, I wish I could say I am 100% a practitioner of this, learned my lesson. Good Lord. I've always done things to keep my spaces clean energetically, but I don't do it enough. What do I mean by that? So when I used to do live streams, right? Many of you are like, hey, you used to do them. What happened? Right. I did live streams every day for years, hundreds of hours of content. And most of it you can still find on YouTube, right? On my channel. When people would connect to me, they're connecting to the what? Environment that I'm sitting in. And most of the time I'm doing the live streams in the environment, right? When I'm working with clients, they see me in what? The same environment. So you have people that their consciousness is connecting to the environment. When you need healing and you have a assigned healer, a coach, a mentor, who do you energetically and psychologically connect to? That person and their environment that they work with you in. So one time, this is more than one time, but my mentor was saying, what's going on? I go, what do you mean? She goes, you don't see it? And I go, not really. She goes, there are hundreds of cords plugged into your space, into your healing space. And I go, well, yeah, of course. I mean, right? People think of me when they need healing. They connect during the live streams. Of course, they're connecting. She goes, yeah, but that's congesting your whole space. Right? So I wasn't keeping my space energetically clean at that time. That's a thing that has to be done all the time. Just like you keep your physical house clean once a week, you sweep the floors, you mop the floors with Pine Sol, you do the bathrooms, you do the squeegee, you use the Windex, right? So you're keeping your house physically clean. Your house also gets energetically clean. Why am I saying this right now? Because when I moved in here 5 months ago, a little over 5 months ago, this place is immaculate, like immaculate. The furniture is pretty much all brand new. The building itself is only 3 years old. It's immaculate and not many people stay here. But guess what my mentor said? She goes, the reason you've been sick for almost 5 months is not your practice per se. That's another story. But she says, it's your environment. You are like a fish in a fishbowl that's dirty, and it's eventually going to make the fish sick. So that's why one of the major factors as to why my body's been sick. So what did I do? I spent an entire day energetically cleaning the place, and it felt transformed. My body's sleeping better. I have more energy throughout the day. I'm not so like, ugh. But one of the benefits, because within every adversity, there's always a seed of equivalent or greater benefit. So what was the benefit? I started to look at my physical body more. I started to look at my diet more. I started to look at my exercise more. I started to look at my flexibility, my hydration, all the things in the physical plane, because I thought my physical body was experiencing discomfort. So I was looking for the physical factors. So guess what? It improved. My physical health has never been better. Now that the environmental factors have been taken care of, it's much, 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 much better. Okay. So you can clean your environment through mantras. Pranic healing has many, many mantras. The two mantras there's many I would recommend, but for simplicity's sake, for cleaning an environment would be Om Namah Shivaya, Om, which destroys and restores. And then Om Namah Rama Om. Om Namah Rama Om. Those two mantras are very, very good for cleaning a space. And Om Namah Rama Om is good for impregnating it with healing energies. You can also, for the pranic healers and Hatha yogis who have taken the necessary classes, you can clean your environment thoroughly with brilliant electric violet light. See, I need to clean my place again. So you clean it with brilliant electric violet light, because energy is always being consumed and congestion is always being created. all the time. Just like your physical place, you could clean your house from top to bottom as clean as humanly possible, and in 2 weeks it's going to be dirty again. You could scrub your physical body in the shower as clean as possible. I used to go get massages, and one time I've gotten many massages, but I went to this what do they call it, a Korean spa, and I had this little tiny Korean guy with the biggest forearms you've ever seen clean me from top to bottom. I'm talking, I was completely nude, obviously, right? Because that's what I'm there for, to get super, super clean. So he had the Brillo pad, he had the salt, he had the soapiness, he had everything. Super, 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 super clean. Cleanest I've ever been in my entire life. Do you think I was maybe dirty a week later if I didn't take a shower? Yes, right? So it doesn't really matter how clean you get things physically. It doesn't stay that way because energy is always being recreated. Congestion is always being reintroduced, right? So I cleaned this place super thoroughly last weekend, but as I'm scanning now, it's dirty again. And I'm not even, I'm more private now on social media than I ever have been before, till about 11 years, 12 years. Right? Because I'm doing other things. I'm focusing on other things. But the place is still getting congested. And you go, but Christian, you live in the middle of nowhere. Christian, you don't have any visitors. Christian, you do a spiritual practice. You're not playing loud, death metal. What's going on? Because the environment itself is consuming energy, leaving congestion. And then there are other factors. So mantras are very good. Brilliant electric violet light, very good. Having the windows open, having sun coming in cleanses it energetically, right? So fresh prana coming in, and then the sun breaks up disease congested energy. If you look at the way when sun comes in to a place, you can see it not only breaks up congestion, but it also fills the molecules in the air with prana. That's why people get depressed in the wintertime or get depressed in parts of the world where there's less sun, because there's less vitality in the molecules in the air. That's the energetic reason. Science will give you the other aspects: melatonin, serotonin, vitamin D, etc. Okay. What else? You can also get a crystal, not rose quartz, black onyx, or quartz, and you can program it to extract congestion out of your environment, put it in salt water, and put it outside in the sun. So you typically don't want to have a crystal absorbing energy in your space other than the bathroom or outside. Because if you just put it in the living room, what's happening? The crystal is absorbing congestion, and then it's just overflowing into the living room, right? The bathroom is a good place because the bathroom absorbs, which is a whole other conversation. And then, or you can have it outside. Okay. And then black tourmaline as well. Yes. So black tourmaline, so black colored stones absorb. That's the specialization. But says, I tried to clean my house negative energy about 6 months ago. I could feel it was really heavy by using the white sage. My husband came home and said it felt like a frat house and wanted to know if it was smoking pot. Yes, you can use sage because of the colored energy of sage. So you can burn sage. You can burn sandalwood incense, or most kinds of incenses. Not all, but most kinds of incenses. That breaks up disease congested energy in your environment. What else? So we have mantras, we have incense, we have opening the windows, letting in the sun, letting in fresh air. We have the crystals. What else? By the way, the sound has to be audible on the mantras. It can't be a whisper because it's radiating, right? So if it's just om, om, it's not covering a big enough radius. So if you turn up the volume and let it play for a few hours, you can even leave the house, that vibration, because it's affecting the physical molecules, because you want to physically clean, quote unquote, it's etherically, right? One step above physical, etheric. It's cleaning the etheric molecules within your environment. Because he says, my dad used white sage in my house to get rid of the ladybugs, and I had the same reaction as your husband. Who's been smoking pot in this house? Okay. So those are some things that you can practice for energetic hygiene for your house or your office. Same. Next question, personal karma versus family karma. Are they independent or do they depend on one another? No, they're not independent. Why? Law of karma, principle of oneness, which we discussed earlier. So this is so complicated that I wouldn't even attempt to delve into it. And what do I mean by that? It's called the Lords of Karma. The Lords of Karma deal with all the interactions of all the karma. So you look at your life from you growing up to where you are right now, and there was cause and effect throughout your life and then previous lives that you did. That's just your life. Just your life. So if you're a farmer, like I plant corn, I got corn. But wait a minute. Now I'm getting watermelon. So at some point in time, I must have planted watermelon. When did that happen? So you have physical karma, just you. You have financial karma, physical karma, emotional karma, right? Mental karma, spiritual karma, just you. And then you have everyone that comes in and out of your life in every incarnation's karma attached to that, and you attach to them. It's mind boggling. There's no supercomputer on the planet that could calculate the responsibility and the interconnectedness of the Lords of Karma's work. As it was said by one of the great teachers, the Lords of Karma even know whenever a leaf hits the ground because they are at the cause of it. Right? So it's unfathomable. So in general, right, because we step it down and make it super simple and practical, as I understand it, from the age of 0 to 7, the karma of the child is mostly on the backs of the parents, meaning the child is not working with their karma fully. Then from 7, there's a, if you will, there's a click, there's a switch. Then the child starts becoming aware and starts becoming responsible for the seeds that they're sowing. Does that make sense? Also, the sooner someone starts something, the longer that person has developed that skill in that incarnation. So young people that get on the path, the earlier they get on the spiritual path, typically the more advanced and older the soul is. Right? Or somebody that has a certain ninja power. They're a savant. They're autodidact. They're a musical wonder. They have an amazing singing ability. They are amazing painters, right? At a very, very young age. Those are typically older, advanced souls versus discovering, wait a minute, I think I have an interest in art in your mid-30s, late 30s, early 40s, right? Okay. So I hope that makes sense. So karma, family karma it's interconnected. So you have individual karma, you have family karma, you have city, state, country karma, you have karma of the human souls. So it's so incomprehensible and multi-layered and multi-dimensional. There's no simple answer. So yes, we're independent, But that's on the lowest level of truth, meaning you're sitting in your chair and I'm sitting in my chair. So we're separate from one another. That's the physical body. That's the lowest level of truth. But spiritually, we are what? One. But whatever you do to another person, you're doing to yourself. So if you're mean, cruel, and hurtful to other people, you're doing it to yourself times 10 or more. That's why I always say with my healing clients, those who hurt others, right? Those who hurt others. So people who have experienced trauma in their lives tend to traumatize other people. But the interesting thing is somebody who's been traumatized, that's an opportunity for them to do what? Forgive and neutralize their karma. How do you know it's their karma? Because it happened to them. But you have people who are traumatized who don't forgive and do what? Injure other people. And then what did they just do for their future? Create more trauma, more pain, more suffering, more anguish. That's why forgiveness is super, super important. People who hurt others. That's why you have to forgive, 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 forgive. Cannot emphasize that enough. When you snap at somebody, when you're sharp with them, it's because you are that way with yourself times 10, but you're not aware of it. And it comes out on other people. But guess what you just did? You just planted another seed. Oh, man. So that's why you have to have awareness. Oh, I yelled at that person in line. I shouldn't have done that. I hung up on my best friend on the phone in a hurtful way. I shouldn't have done that. Okay, I got to forgive myself, and then I got to forgive them. And then you start to neutralize the karma. Okay. Next question. What is the best way to use the Golden Lotus Sutra books? What is the best way to use the Golden Lotus Sutra books? So sutra means to thread or to stitch or pearls of wisdom. So Grandmaster Chogo Koksui has, I believe, 8 different books that look like this. Yeah, it's green, so it kind of blends in with the background. And the Golden Lotus Sutra books are designed to open up, and you have aphorisms or sutras or quotations by Master Choa that you take and you meditate on, typically for one day. So you take one sutra per day, and you think about it, and you go, okay. So for instance, you could do as a practical experiment. Okay. So this is the chapter on children and raising children. By giving a person love, you make them grow. Okay. So you have the surface level truth. By giving a person love, you make them grow. Okay. So, well, let's see. Is that literal? What are the 3 levels of truth? Literal, symbolic, and energetic, right? Those are the 3 levels of truth. So literal. So if I literally love someone, I'm going to make them grow. Well, maybe if I'm arousing somebody, I can make something grow. Okay. That's one level of truth. Physically. Symbolically, what does that mean? Giving a person love, you make them grow. Okay. So by being helpful to someone, it helps move them forward in their lives so they don't make mistakes. Okay. So it helps them grow forward in their lives. By giving a person love, you make them grow. Energetically, the 3rd level of truth. Well, so where does love come from? Okay, love comes from the heart. Well, what kind of energy is in the heart? Pink and gold. Okay, so if I give somebody love, I give them pink and gold energy, it makes them grow. Growing in what sense? It makes their aura expand. It makes them mature. It makes them have a stronger connection to their higher selves when they're mature. Okay, so just those 3 levels of truth, literal, symbolic, and energetic, you can take that sutra and meditate on that all day long. Then you have facets of truth, which are the level, and then looking at that level from different viewpoints. Maybe the 7 rays. Okay, when giving a person love, you make them grow. If I was a ray 1 person, how do I express that? If I'm a ray 2 person, how do I express that? If I'm a ray 3 person, how do I express that? If I'm a ray 4, 5, 6, 7 ray, how do I express that? So do you see, that is extraordinarily complicated. People have this assumption that they need many, 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 many spiritual teachings in order to obtain enlightenment. Not true. They need to take one spiritual teaching and go very deep, very broad, and multi-leveled with that, and then they can transform. That's why in the Zoroaster religion, which is the oldest religion of mankind, they basically said loving thought, the three laws of the religion and of the society was loving thoughts, loving words, and loving actions. That's it. Because the reason we have to create a legal system is because of what? Lack of virtue within the people. Well, I can't trust this person. They're going to take advantage of me. Well, I got to protect myself. I got to have all these laws and rules and regulations in place so I'm not taken advantage of. So my resources aren't taken. So I'm not left out in the cold. But wait a minute. Loving thoughts, loving words, loving actions. If the society functions at that, everyone takes care of everyone, right? So you don't need many, 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 many spiritual teachings. And even the 10 Commandments in the class Inner Christian, the secrets, the inner teachings of Christianity revealed in that class is broken down to there is only one commandment. Love God with all your heart. Everything else comes from that. The other 9 commandments. Make sense? So the Golden Lotus Sutra books and any teachings by great teachers, you just take one sutra, one quote, one aphorism, one point, and look at it and look at it and look at it very, very deeply. My mentor and I, we took 2 months to go through one of these books. 2 months. Because we were analyzing and going deeper and deeper and deeper. That's why many people don't have what? Understanding. They read the book, they go, I'm done. Okay, great. What did you understand? Not much. There you go. Read it again. Ugh, okay. Do you understand more now? Yes. Read it again. Okay. Do you understand more? Yes. And through the understanding, what happens? Transformation. If you don't understand what you read, how can you transform? If you go to a 4-year college degree, you get your 4-year college degree, and you don't remember or understand what your classes were, how can you transform as a person? That's why our society is not very intelligent. Our society. Other societies, much more intelligent. The United States is 23rd in the world. Okay? Because we don't do what? Understand what we are studying. Next question. If the navel chakra, which is right where your belly button is considered the knowing, what is its role in regards to the solar plexus in the throat? It's a good question. I don't know. So the navel chakra deals with gut instinct. It is knowing on a feeling level. So when you feel this is the right path to take, the right business opportunity, the right person to date, the right place to move to, and your navel is big, clean, and energized, you'll make the right decision that will benefit you greatly. If your navel is very small, very congested, and underactivated, or lacking prana, I should say, you will be fooled all the time. How many people go, I felt I should have went with that, but I didn't. That's lack of gut instinct. That's lack of lower knowing through feeling. Also, another way of looking at an example we use in pranic healing is if I throw a ball at you without telling you I'm throwing you a ball at you, when you catch it, that's a function of navel. So martial artists typically have more developed navel chakras than the ordinary populace. Athletes tend to have more developed navel chakras than ordinary people. The higher knowing is the forehead chakra, which is knowing through direct perception, which means you see the inner world, clairvoyance, right? So when someone says, okay, I'm looking to move to Austin, Texas, or I'm looking to move to Houston, Texas, gut instinct would be like, Houston feels better. Go with Houston. The forehead, which can see, looks at the energy of both and goes, huh, interesting. There's all this energy over here, and what these energies mean this. Then I have energies over here. These energies mean this. Austin's better because the forehead deals with wisdom. The forehead is better than the navel, but most people don't have developed forehead chakras, so they have to go with their gut instinct. But if you had a choice between a high-level clairvoyant and somebody with good intuition, good gut instinct, I would lean towards the high-level clairvoyant because they can give you greater wisdom in your decision. Somebody that just picks something because it feels good, they don't understand what all the other things are about. They just go, yeah, it feels good. That feels like a good business, a good partner, a good place to move to, right? But the forehead that's developed can see the energy, but it leaves space for more what? Interpretation, right? So if you want to have greater wisdom on your decision, the forehead is better, but the forehead gives you more to work with. Some people go, look, I just need a yes or no. What do you think? Okay, well, what does your navel tell you? My navel tells me this. Okay, great. Go in that direction. But if you want to know the inner teachings and inner workings, the forehead is going to be the helper in that. And then the highest level in our incarnated bodies for knowing is the crown chakra. The crown chakra is knowing with no direct perception. So the great spiritual teachers know through the crown, meaning your crown has to be developed to a certain degree that you know the answer without studying, feeling, or seeing it. You just know. That's crown chakra. That's the highest level of intuition in our incarnated souls. So crown chakra, you just know. Forehead, you know through seeing the inner world and seeing the energy, right? And then the navel chakra knows through feeling. I feel like that's good. I feel like that's not good. I'm going to go with the thing that feels good. When you doubt yourself, it's a program, and it's also lack of connection to your navel. Your navel deals with inner power. It deals with inner power and it deals with resources. What's your first experience in the navel chakra in the physical world? The umbilical cord between you and your mother. So when the umbilical cord is cut between you and your mother, there's still, this may be out there for a few of you, there's still an umbilical cord connected to Mother Earth, which deals with power. So you're always connected. You're not connected to your physical mother anymore once the cord's cut, but you're connected to our Earth Mother through the navel. And there are ways to strengthen that connection. Next question. When doing healing on someone you don't know well, you are following the protocol in the advanced book. You don't know if the person has a condition that you can't use red. Do you use white in case for safety, or do you do the protocol as written and the person will be protected if needed because you invoked for divine protection? Excellent question. So in pranic healing, we have basic pranic healing, advanced pranic healing, pranic psychotherapy. Basic pranic healing, we use just white energy. Within white energy are all the other pranas, but muted. Not as intense, not as potent. Yes? Advanced pranic healing is all the colors. Yes? which makes them more potent. And then pranic psychotherapy is brilliant electric violet light in most all of the healing protocols, okay, which vibrates super, super high. So with advanced pranic healing, it calls for you to use certain colors, but certain colors are not advised. So for instance, if somebody has an STD, sexually transmitted disease, and red energy is put in the sex chakra, it has a tendency to activate, because that's one of the qualities of red, it has a tendency to activate the virus within the sex chakra. So how do you get around it? You ask. Just for your protection, are there any venereal diseases or STDs that I need to know about? Do you have a history of cancer? Because when somebody has cancer, cancer is multiplication of diseased cells. Yes. When you put red energy into someone, it multiplies the cells for better or for worse. So if you have healthy red blood cells, you introduce red, it multiplies the healthy red blood cells. If you have disease, sick, cancerous blood cells, it multiplies those, right? So you have to ask the person, right? You have to ask the person, any venereal disease, any STDs, any history of cancer for you, not in the family, but for you. No, everything's fine. Then you just use the necessary colors. If not, then you use white. And if you don't know, you should know, but let's say you're healing a person, then you just invoke. If you are having doubt, here's a tip, pro tip. If you're having a doubt, it could be the angels are telling you the person does have something and you don't know it. So if you're like, okay, I'm invoking the Supreme God, Divine Father, Divine Mother, healing angels, healing ministers, thank you for using me as an instrument to heal this person. And during the invocation or during the start of the healing or during a certain part of healing them in the body, something comes to you, goes, wait a minute, does that person have cancer? That could be the angels are saying, hey, you need to be aware of something, even if you're not talking to them, even if you don't know the case history of the person. Make sense? Health history. Okay. Good question. But always, always, always invoke for divine protection. If you do that with humility, then you'll be protected and they'll be protected. And to take it to another level, if something does get activated within their system and you invoke for divine protection, karma is supposed to happen. In general, does that, my experience, that's not the case, but everything is karma. What do you mean everything is karma? Cause and effect. You plant corn, you get corn. Now you plant corn, you may not get corn in 2 weeks, but you planted that corn. It's got to come up eventually. How do we mitigate it and minimize it? Law of forgiveness, law of mercy. Law of forgiveness is, thank you for forgiving me. I've learned my lesson. Forgive the other person. May they be blessed. May they be healed. Let me give some money. That's enacting the law of mercy, right? So you learn the lesson, you forgive, and you give, you donate, you tithe, and that will mitigate some not good seeds that you plant. Now, as Master would say, you can't do something bad intentionally and go, I'm just going to tithe after the fact, right? You can't do a malicious act on another human being and then go, I'm going to neutralize that karma real fast. I'm going to get my punches in and then I'm going to neutralize the karma. You can't do that. Master says it doesn't work that way. There are some things I've heard that you would be very surprised by. Okay, next question. You don't know, and maybe they don't know, if the person has a condition that you shouldn't use color, not just red, they are pregnant, have cancer. I think they were combined here. Yeah, same thing. Invoke, ask for divine protection. If something, because when you're invoking, what's happening? Spiritual cords becoming bigger, chakras are becoming bigger, auras becoming bigger, and what's happening? The messages and messengers are coming down. So they're like, hey, before you do this healing, don't clean the spleen. Okay, got it. But if you're not aware and they know you're not aware because they're the ones helping with the healing, they'll do their work. But if you're like, it said, don't clean the spleen. Yeah, whatever. Forget you guys. Or don't use red on this part. Yeah, whatever. I'm going to do what I want. That's the problem. That's when you start generating negative karma. There are people that you need to forgive for things that were done to you. Correct. You forgive them for their mistakes. Correct. So you do the forgiveness technique. Correct. What about people that you need to ask to forgive you for things you did to them? You want them to forgive you for your mistakes. It's not for you. Meaning, I'll give you an example. Have I done a lot of healing over the years? Yes or no? Have I caused people a lot of injury over the years? Yes or no? Come on. Oh, you guys really think I'm that holy, huh? Well, I'll change that perception soon enough. So I've caused a lot of injury to people over the course of my life because of mostly because of lack of knowing, lack of awareness, lack of understanding. Very, very rarely, super rare, have I been intentional about injury, like being malicious on purpose. That's not really my cup of tea. And believe me, I remember as a side story, my ex-wife and I had a lot of difficulties at the beginning of our divorce. A lot of anger, and it would be fair to say hatred. That would be an accurate thing to say at that point between the both of us. Right? People usually don't get divorced when everything is fuzzy and warm. So everything happened, and I felt very disempowered in the divorce, in the custody battle between her and my son. I wasn't trying to get her in custody. I was trying to get my son. And there was a lot of pain, and I felt very disempowered, and I felt she had the upper hand. So I was really mad about that, right? But then as I improved my life, as I got lots and lots of healing, did lots and lots of forgiveness, did lots and lots of service for the center in New Jersey, and I was getting more understanding, more clarity. The clouds were starting to part, right? My prosperity started to increase. And then every year it got better and better and better. And then one time at the retreat, I went to one of the masters and I said, hey, I'm thinking of bringing this up again. And he goes, what do you mean? Getting my son back and causing her pain, not purposely, but indirectly, which is still injury, right? Getting custody of my son, putting pressure on her. And he says, okay. He says, do you know what the word magnanimous means? I said, yes. He says, you have to be magnanimous. And I go, but I don't want to be magnanimous. I want to demonstrate, I want to wield, I love that word. I want to wield some of my newfound power in my life. And I want to wield it against someone who caused me a tremendous amount of injury and prevented me from connecting with my son. He says, be magnanimous. I was like, ugh. So I did more awareness, more understanding, more forgiveness, more healing. And now guess what? I have a normal relationship with a woman who hadn't talked to me in any way, shape, or form for 5 years. Because I was magnanimous, because I did healing, because I did forgiveness, because I let bygones be bygones. And I go, I'm not perfect. She's not perfect. I've made mistakes. She's made mistakes. It's time to let go and move forward. Even though there are many opportunities, you guys, I've used this in the newsletter one time before. You know the term scorched earth? It was actually from Hitler in World War II, where you not just bomb certain areas within a city, but you destroy the transportation going in and out of the city. You destroy all the food supplies and all the housing. So you literally decimate an area. So at a certain moment in my life, I want to take that approach in the relationship with my ex-wife. I want to apply the scorched earth method. which is horrible. It's the worst thing you can do to another person, because it basically says, I don't care about myself because I'm going to ruin my life in this process, and I don't care about anyone else. Not good. It's not good philosophy. It's very nihilistic, right? So if I called her up and said, hey, you need to forgive me, what do you think the response would have been? Probably not very good. So I've had experiences with people that I've hurt in the past that I've recommended to forgive me. Why? Never for me. In all the cases I've asked people to forgive me, it's never for me. I see the person hurting, right? I see them hurting because of their resentment, bitterness, their inaccurate viewpoint of me, an inaccurate viewpoint of what happened. But every time I've shared that with somebody else, the feedback has been immediate resistance. Why? Because the person's hurt. They're hurt and they go, wait a minute, you just want me to forgive you for your benefit. And they're saying that because when someone says that, that's a number one indicator they don't understand forgiveness. You guys have to understand, you don't forgive for the other person. You always forgive for yourself first. It will benefit the other person if you forgive them because you're freeing them. But primarily it's for your benefit. So if I hurt somebody and I tell them, I'm sorry for hurting you, please forgive me. And I would recommend that you really spend time forgiving me for your own sake. In most cases, people aren't open and receptive to that. So all you can do is forgive. And you don't need to ask, I'm clarifying, and you don't need to ask, how do I put this? There never has to be verbal communication between you and another person when it comes to forgiveness. You don't need to write a letter. You don't need to make a phone call. You don't need to have a coffee date. It's not necessary because you are forgiving what? The soul. Your soul is forgiving their soul, and your soul is accepting the forgiveness from their soul. It's not about the personality and the ego of the person. Okay? Some of us have parents that have left the body. You can still do forgiveness on them because it's the soul forgiving the soul. Not the body forgiving the body, not the emotions forgiving the emotions, not the mind forgiving the mind, right? They're not in the body anymore. So they have no body, they have no emotions, and they have no thoughts. It's the soul forgiving the soul. And that's breaking the chains connecting the two of you. The two energies that bind us as souls is love and hate. And that determines what kind of relationship you have with them. So if you have a loving relationship, when you see them next incarnation, that's the dynamic. If you do not forgive this lifetime, you will see them again next lifetime, and you will be bound by hatred and bitterness. As Master Cho would say, the Siamese twins are the perfect example of hatred, because now their survival depends on the other one. They both need each other to live. Those are people who have not forgiven for many, many, many lifetimes. So if you don't want to be a Siamese twin with your arch nemesis, forgive, forgive, forgive. Okay. Look at us running over a few minutes. Next question. What is the Wesak Festival and why is it important? So I'll cover this quickly. So on Monday, April 26th at 9:23 or 9:22 p.m. Mountain Time, 9:22 p.m. Mountain Time is the peak of the full moon of Taurus, which is connected to the Wesak Festival. The Wesak Festival is the longest ongoing meditation in human history. It's been going on for over 2,500 years, and it's connected to the birth, the enlightenment, and the death of the Lord Buddha. And practitioners from around the world, from all schools, religions, meditate during the Wesak festival and or meditate during the full moon of Taurus. They're the same thing. They're just called different, right? And every year for 25 years, pranic healers and arhatic yogis from around the world gather together physically and or online and meditate together, which creates a tremendous amount of energy that you can use for your goals, your projects, to heal yourself, to get clarity on something, to be of service to Mother Earth and all sentient beings. Meditating at the peak of the full moon of Taurus, the full moon of Wesak festival, is equivalent to meditating every single day for at least 30 days. And it's only an 8-minute meditation. But the preparatory work starts now. This is April 1st. We have 26 days of cleansing and purifying, doing our meditation practices every day, doing our blue triangle inner reflection every day for our Hatha practitioners, taking salt baths daily, doing laughing Buddha daily, getting exercise daily, keeping our house clean energetically, all these preparatory things. And then you have about a 2.5 hour period. It's actually 4 hours in total. Wesak, the day of Wesak, this day, April 26th, prior to the peak, so 4 hours up into the peak, we have a lecture on the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path of Buddhism by one of the masters in pranic healing. Each master has their own event. So we'll be plugging in. West Coast, Midwest people plug into Master Co, and East Coast people plug into Master Glenn, Master Marilag. And then after that talk, we do some preparatory work, and then we do the meditation, and then we basically have the rest of the day in silence for most of us because of this time of the year at 9:22 p.m. Mountain Time. Afterwards, we'll be done, be going to bed, right? But it happens at different times every single year. But this is the most powerful time of the entire year to meditate, bar none. The most powerful time. So the full moons, the half moons, significant birthdays of saints and great teachers are the best times to meditate throughout the month. You should be meditating daily. So the full moon, the new moon, did I say half moon? Full moon, new moon, birthdays of great teachers, your birthday are the best times to meditate throughout the month. So this coming Wesak is the most powerful time of the year. You can get more information at pranichealing.com with all the scheduling and how it's going to work out until the 26th or up until the 26th. So don't miss it. Highly, highly recommend it. I've been doing the Wesak meditation every year for 17 years now. And then lastly, this is from a forum. Hello, I'm meditating and focusing on balancing sacral chakra for the first time. I've had trouble sleeping. Although I woke up super early, I slept after 24 hours and had some negative thoughts out of the blue. I have little knowledge about chakras. Could anyone share some thoughts or experiences? Okay. Couple of challenges with that. One of the biggest ones is in an open forum, and it's the phrasing of the question, meaning, could anyone share some thoughts or experiences? If I were needing surgery, would I go onto a Facebook post and say, does anyone know what I should do with this internal organ? No, you most likely would go onto a social media and post, does anyone know a doctor that deals with X? You're asking something specific and you're asking for an expert, but to go into an open forum, because I've seen these forums before, could anyone share some thoughts or experiences? You're going to have 7 people that are going to respond to this, and you're going to get 8 different responses. meaning she should be looking for an expert in chakras, an expert in the subtle energies, not any Tom, Dick, and Harry, right? So that's one thing. The importance of having a teacher. Also, focusing on balancing chakra. It's the terminology I'm trying to get a hold of here. The sacral chakra. So within pranic healing, we're relatively formatted in our language, right? So certain schools call certain chakras different things, but you don't have that in the medical community, right? A doctor that was trained in India can communicate with the doctor that was trained in California, right? Because the terminology is the same across the board. Not so much in the world of spirituality. So hopefully over the next 100 years, we will get that in place and we'll all be talking in the same wavelength, because one person saying chakral means the sex chakra, another person saying, I'm sorry, sacral, another person saying sacral could mean the basic chakra, right? So we have to understand what terms we're using here. Also, balancing the sacral. What does balancing mean? Focusing and balancing, what does that mean? Because you only balance something in comparison to something else, right? You're balancing a scale. You don't just have one thing. So she's trying to balance what? Makes sense, right? It's balancing her sex to her what? But what is she basing it on? Scanning, so clairsentience, or is she feeling it in her body? Clairvoyance, is she seeing the energy? So she sees her sacral and goes, wow, my sacral is smaller or larger than all my other chakras. But it has to be, do you get it? What if she's on her period? The chakra is going to be overactivated and it's going to be congested. So if you clean it, it will have a tendency to become normalized. But if it's dirty and you focus, you're using will on the chakra, you can actually be adding congestion to it. So do you see how complicated it is? Now, in most cases, these people are being protected because there are certain veils preventing them from seeing higher levels of truth. So they're being protected. So far, so good. Now, here's the thing that most people don't like to hear, which we mentioned a little bit earlier, is that whatever happens to you, you're karmically entitled to get that. So good things that happen to you, you're karmically entitled. Not so good things that happen to you, you're karmically entitled. So let's say she throws herself out there asking a very specialized question that has many, many different factors, and she gets 7, 8, 9, 10, 20 people responding to it, and she doesn't know what the good advice is, and she takes the advice that causes the condition to become even worse. Guess what she has planted previously. Hold on, guys. She planted the seed of lying and deception and lack of discernment, meaning if you don't practice discernment, you will be fooled. So she is trying. Could anyone here share some thoughts or experiences? People are going to share their thoughts and experiences, but she has no discerning practice. Why? Because she's new. Does that make sense? She doesn't know what she doesn't know. So somebody can say anything that they want and she'll go, yeah, that sounds good. No discernment. A better question she could have asked is, can somebody recommend an expert in chakras or an expert in meditation? And then the responses she would have got would have been much different. Then people would have put names of certain healers, certain meditation teachers, certain yogis, and then she can practice some discernment by going to the website and reading through the bio of these people. So she would have been more accurate in choosing the person that she chose versus a bunch of random answers where there's no synergy, because Most people don't know about the chakras. Like I said, you can bring 7 people together and you'll get 8 different opinions, right? So the takeaway from that is asking for an expert with good qualifications, with a track record of success, rather than, hey, random people that I don't know about an industry in a field that I don't know. What do you guys think it is? What do you think I should do? And this isn't just with meditation or energy healing, it's with all areas of life. And another thing is, she should be looking for the people who ask questions, not the people that give answers. Because in her post, there's not enough information, other than if you're clairvoyant, there's not enough information for a person to give proper advice, right? So the people that are giving advice, I would throw that out. The people that are asking questions, I would continue to engage with them. Does that make sense? Yeah. Perfect. We made it through all the questions. Yay. Anything else? Namaste, Ivani. Good to see you. You'll have to get the recording. We're finishing up, but it's always good to see your bright, shiny face. Any other questions, comments, concerns before we close? And that's something I realized a lot from observing Master Ko, is that when people ask questions, even though the answer seems obvious, there's always a little bit more that he realizes he needs to know in order to properly guide the person. Right? So he'll say, it seems like a clear question, but he'll be like, I'm sorry, I don't have enough details to give you the proper answer, which is an indicator of humility. Okay. All right. Let us close. Place your hands on your heart. Be aware of your mental body, emotional body, etheric body, physical body, absorbing all these teachings and energies and wisdom to improve the quality of your life and the lives of those you lead and serve. Be aware of your crown, the center of higher knowing, the entry point for spiritual energy. And be aware of the heart and the crown together. To the Supreme God, Divine Father, Divine Mother, respected and beloved teacher, Grandmaster Choa Kok Sui, to Lord Mahaguru Jameling, to Lord Buddha Kuan Yin, to Sarasvati, to Holy Master Count Saint Germain, to all the holy gurus, holy masters, saints, archangels, holy angels, to the angels of awareness, understanding, and wisdom, to the angels of inner knowing, lower knowing, higher knowing, to our divine selves or higher souls, we thank you all for your great, great blessings, for your divine light, love, and power, for your transformative healing energies. Thank you for helping us become better people. Thank you for helping us practice what we have learned here today, and to continue practicing, getting feedback, improving our practice, and eventually mastering. We thank you. We thank you. We thank you with tremendous gratitude, respect, and the deepest of love. We thank you in full faith. So be it, and so it is. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So be it. Whew. All right, everyone. Lots of lots to you. And I will catch you guys in the Flippity McFlipperson. Have an amazing rest of your evening. I'm going to be posting this in the group tonight. I'm going to be removing all the stuff from Facebook because it's the beginning of the month. So we keep everything archived within Thinkific. And then we start over again every single month on Facebook. Brand spanking new. Okay. Love you guys very, very much. Enjoy your day, evening, afternoon. Bye-bye.